Hey guys, back again. This time today I'm going to talk about something a little different in which I want to talk about franchises and universe building with Hollywood releases. Mostly in the vein of the Conjuring franchise because I've been thinking really strongly about the Conjuring franchise recently because Annabelle Creation just came out, which I loved. I thought it was really good. But I really thought that in the way that they are promoting the Annabelle creation, saying that it is a good entry in the Conjuring universe, which they use the term universe now for this franchise. And I wanted to talk about how great of a universe this is in terms of building a franchise as a universe like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not breaking down the movie in terms of adding so much stuff for another movie. I really think that the Conjuring franchise is such a great franchise now, even though they're just calling it this, a Conjuring universe. But I love how we have a franchise that is a universe, but it doesn't rely on every other movie. And I really think that it is a very, very bold and smart move that they kind of went by the wayside in calling this a universe until now. But it works so well because of how these films, any of them, any of the four you can watch, Conjuring 1, 2, Annabelle, or Annabelle Creation, you literally do not have to watch one before it or after it. You can literally just watch a singular movie in this franchise and know everything. And that to me is one of the biggest strong suits in this being a universe without having to rely on adding so much into a movie that ruins it by building it for another movie. And a good example of a bad way that they've done that recently was The Mummy that just came out this year. And I thought that that is the one of the worst ways of doing that with universe building because ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe has come out, we have had every company trying to make their own cinematic universe or a franchise that is in the vein of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that it was kind of done before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not in a way that the MCU did, and they built along that in such a cool way. And there are movies in the franchise, that Marvel franchise, that do have times where they do just shoehorn something in, but it's not as bad as something, say, The Mummy. But I thought that in terms of examples that are bad, I think is The Mummy. I think that that is a terrible example of showing that you've got this universe, but you don't focus on The Mummy at all. You focus on everything else that's going to elaborate what this future world's going to be about. And again, I think that today with Hollywood movies, everything is either a remake or a sequel or a prequel or spin-off of a franchise that's popular. And universes are a big thing now. Everybody's trying them. The bad ones, like Universal's doing with The Mummy, or the good ones, like The Conjuring or the MCU films. And I think that in terms of this franchise alone, the Conjuring franchise, it really works. And I think that, like I said, every single film, you don't have to watch any of the other ones, but it so does feel like they're connected in a universe, but they don't connect story-wise, but you feel like they are in this universe, but you don't have to rely on the other films. And to me, that's why I think, honestly, I think the Conjuring franchise might be one of the best examples of world building, universe building in film, in Hollywood films. I'd say even more than the Marvel Cinematic Universe at times, because like I said, some of those movies do shoehorn in things that are going to be for a sequel or for another film in the universe. But like this, I thought that this was such a strong franchise that doesn't rely on any other film, and it just, you can watch it without knowing anything else about any of the other ones, and you would be completely unlost. You would know everything that happens in the one movie. You can watch the other ones, you don't have to, but you can, and if you don't, there's no loss for you. And again, that's why I think it is such a strong universe franchise, and it's kind of dumb using that term universe But I mean, that's what it is, because that's what Hollywood is doing with franchises now. They're going to elaborate on having this universe and having all of these films have with all of these characters that you could spin off into their own films. But and The Conjuring did do that. They did have The Conjuring 1, then they had Annabelle, and then they had Conjuring 2, and then Annabelle Creation. So we did have two Annabelle spin-offs. But they're not spin-offs in a way that you have to watch the other ones to know why things happen with Annabelle or what these characters are for, why they're here. And again, just such a strong way of elaborating on a franchise and just showing that you don't have to rely on adding things that are unnecessary in a film and that are just there to invoke a sequel. And the Conjuring franchise has like tiny little moments. Like say a picture would have like a character that might be in a future movie. But it doesn't do it in a way where it feels cheap, and it doesn't feel like it does it in a way that makes you think, oh, this is just here because we're gonna get get this spin-off or get this sequel. You don't, it's not like that in this franchise. And again, that's why to me this is the strongest universe franchise that we have had thus far. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, is great. It does shoehorn things in sometimes in some of the movies, specifically like Iron Man 2 or Avengers Age of Ultron. But a lot of them don't do that. A lot of them do just have their own stories in this one film. But the thing I really think that The Conjuring does add more to that instead of having anything really to do with the other films. So again, it's just a great idea that you can have a franchise but not shoehorn in all this shit that makes it seem like you are trying to make a billion sequels. And to be fair, I think the Conjuring movies are going to make a lot of sequels. There are already a lot of ones announced. But they don't do it in a way where you're thinking that like in Annabelle Creation, it's not like they brought in all these characters and said these are going to be in the next movie. It's not like that. So I think that is my definition of why it's the strongest Hollywood universe franchise out right now. And I think that it really is for the most part, all of them are strong films. Like Conjuring 1 and 2, I think, are fantastic horror movies, and Annabelle Creation is very good. A very good house thriller, haunted house thriller. And then you get Annabelle, which wasn't that good, but even 1 out of 4 films is a little bit of a dud. But to me, I give it a stronger reasoning to exist because it doesn't cheat and add all these things in to invoke a sequel. And we got a prequel to Annabelle, the first one, but they didn't even have to tell anything about that one. They just made another film. They didn't have to shoehorn so many things into it. But yeah, I just really wanted to talk about the Conjuring franchise and say why I thought it's such a bold move that Warner Brothers or New Line Cinema is doing this with the franchise. And they're the ones who have the DC Cinematic Universe where they do shoehorn shit in. So I like that they have 2 different big franchises, and this one, to me, is the best franchise out there in terms of world building. It works so well. And I'm glad that we get one that, like I said, you don't have to rely on any of the other films. You just can watch one of them, and you don't have to know anything about the other ones, literally at all. Like The Conjuring 1 and 2, you don't have to watch the first film to watch the second film because it's these same characters, but they're in a different plot. But it never has to involve the first one or the second one, where Annabelle doesn't have to involve Annabelle Creation, really, in a way. So I think that is why The Conjuring is the strongest franchise out there. I think it is such a great way of invoking franchise and world building, and I think that it is kind of underrated in that fact where nobody thinks about that yet. I think that hopefully people will figure that out, that it is going to be such a good franchise, but stay like watching a movie on its own, and you don't have to watch them all. And even though I love movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though they do shoehorn stuff in, but I think these are just the best. This is the best franchise for world building, and it really, really works so well. But I just wanted to talk about that really bad and see see if anybody else thought that. I wonder if anybody else has thought about this franchise and how it has contributed so much to franchises and how they're being made. And this is such a smart franchise that I think deserves more praise in that aspect of being a great world building movie, but not have to elaborate on all the sequels or prequels or spin-offs or anything. It's just you watch one, you know that you can watch any of the other ones and you don't have to watch the other ones. So I just think it's such a great idea. I really think that it works so well. But did you guys think of that? Did you guys figure out that that's a bold move for Warner Brothers, who does the DC Universe as well, who does the exact opposite of this Conjuring franchise? So yeah, I thought that this was such a cool idea, and I think that hopefully it'll stay like this. Hopefully it'll stay. They're singular, and you can watch any one of them without watching the other one. So anyways, thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.